Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're gonna be keeping it simple. Today's build is all about spamming supers and destroying champions, while at the same time just trying to get our super back as fast as possible. And that's pretty much all it is. And this will be able to work in pretty much any GM or any type of content, but the gameplay you'll be seeing in the background is the GM this week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already, as well as follow me on Twitch. So let's not waste any time, let's get into it, and we're going to be starting by taking a look at the exotic super in this build. Now for our exotic piece of armor, we are going to be on the Radiant Floods. The arc staff is just like the best super for any type of endgame content when it comes to like roaming supers on the hunter. And so the Radiant Floods, this is the perfect piece of armor to pair up with it. We're going to be getting more damage whenever we do some hits with our arc staff, as well as increase the timer we are in our arc staff. And the timer increase is no joke. You can be in your arc staff for such a long time, as long as you just keep hitting things. The damage increase is also no joke. It's a 70% damage increase when stacked all the way up, and it essentially lets you one-shot pretty much any champion with the Palm Strike combo. The Palm Strike combo, in case you guys don't know, is when you do a light, and then into a heavy attack, and it does this big just cone of damage that pretty much one-shots any enemies that are in the area. Very few enemies, except for like bosses or mini bosses, will be able to actually survive this. And if it's stacked up already with damage, then not even the champions will be able to survive this. When you arc staff, you're pretty much a champion killing machine. You're going to be doing so much damage, no champion's going to be able to stand up against you. The easiest champions to take out of are of course the unstoppables, since you can actually stun those themselves in the arc staff. All you gotta do is just jump up in the air, do your heavy attack, and you'll stun them. That's the easiest way to stun them, and after you stun them, you just do their light into the heavy, and they disappear. It is amazing. Now the other champions, well, you technically cannot stun them. The arc staff does so much damage that sometimes you're just able to outright kill the overloads, even while they're regaining health. It is crazy, as long as you're doing again the light into a heavy combo. And the barriers, those are a little tricky, but if you do stagger them with the combo first before they pop their barrier, by the time that they are recovering, they're probably going to be dead already. But if you don't want to risk the champions regenning, you could always just stun them before with your weapons, and then go in with your arc staff and finish them off. You're still going to be in the arc staff for a long time, so if there's any ads or big enemies around, you're basically going to be able to deal with them as well. Now for our exotic weapon, I recommend that you go with the Outbreak Perfected. And the main reason that we're going to be using this is just because of the insane amount of super energy you can get with the Outbreak. Just sitting there shooting at a big enemy with the Outbreak gives you a crazy amount of super energy. I'm going to add a clip right here just to show you the type of like super energy you get used for shooting at night or for shooting one of the champions. It's just a crazy amount. It's just going to constantly let you build up that super so we can super as much as we can. This is not going to be like the only way that we're going to be able to get our super back faster, but it's a very easy and safe way, since you could just stand far away and do a bunch of damage with your weapon. So your other two weapons will have to match whatever champions you're running into in the strike. Since this week we have unstoppables and barriers, I recommend that you go with a linear as well as a sidearm. If the Nightfall has changed by the time you watch this video, then just try to match your weapons to whatever the champions are. Now for your subclass, we're going to be on just pure arc itself, since it's the only way that we can actually use the arc staff. Can you imagine if we actually could use the arc staff on Prismatic? Oh man, it would make that class even better. But we are stuck to normal arc, but that's okay because normal arc also has a lot of survivability, as well as being able to take advantage of a lot of mods this season, so this is just fine. Now for your melee, it doesn't really matter which one you go with, we're not really going to be using it too much, so I recommend that you keep the disorienting blows, just in case you do need to use it, since it's going to be able to blind a bunch of targets, and it can get you out of a sticky situation. For your grenade, I recommend the Flash Run Grenade. It blinds a bunch of targets, so it makes them a lot easier to kill, and it can also stun unstoppable champions, giving you another way of stopping the unstoppables, and it has pretty short cooldown as well, so you're going to be able to use it a lot. Now the very first aspect you want to put on is going to be the flow state. Whenever we kill any jolted targets, it immediately amplifies us, and whenever we're amplified, our dodge recharges more quickly, and we're also more resistant to incoming damage whenever we dodge, and on top of everything, our weapons also reload faster. So we're going to be getting a bunch of things from flow state, but the main important one is that we're basically always going to be just permanently amplified, meaning that we're always going to have that 15% damage reduction, which is pretty nice, and we're also just going to be getting our dodge back very fast. We basically get a dodge back in like 5 to 6 seconds, and that's without taking some of the other mods into account, that are also going to be helping our dodge. And we're going to be turning all that dodge energy into melee energy, just so we can spam our second aspect, which is going to be the Tempest Strike. Whenever we slide, we can activate our charge melee to unleash an uppercut that jolts targets, and also whenever you defeat any jolted targets, you gain some bolt charge. This thing got a ton of buffs this season, meaning that it now pretty much guarantees that you kill every single smaller enemy every time that you hit them with the uppercut. And you even do some pretty good damage to some of the bigger enemies, but the main thing that we're going to be using this for is just to get some kills so we can build up our super faster. The main way that we're going to be building super outside of using our outbreak is that we're going to be spamming our Tempest Strike just as much as we can. Every time we get a kill with the Tempest Strike, we're going to be getting some extra super energy thanks to some of the mods that we're running, as well as make a ton of orbs, so again can help us get our super back faster, and also proc a bunch of our mods that also give us health, gives us more ability energy, so we can just constantly be spamming abilities. Now for the fragments, the first one we're going to have is the Spark of Amplitude. Whenever we rapidly defeat targets and we're amplified, there's a chance that we get an Orb of Power. This just pretty much just adds a couple of extra Orbs of Power, used again to help us get our super back faster. Next, we're going to have the Spark of Resistance. Whenever we're surrounded, we are more resistant to incoming damage. So whenever there's like at least 3 enemies around, we just have a bit of extra damage resistance. And this is huge. You definitely want to have this, since we're going to always be kind of close to the enemies. Having that extra damage resistance is huge for us and keeping us alive. We're also going to have the Spark of Ions. Whenever we defeat a jolted target or defeat a target with bolt charge, it creates Ionic Trace. And the Ionic Traces are just going to help us get our abilities back faster, so this is going to be pretty good. Especially since every time that we defeat something with our Tempest Strike, it's going to be a jolted target. And lastly, we're going to have the Spark of Shock, which is going to let our grenade also jolt targets. There's another way to apply jolt to targets, and now, because that grenade's going to jolt and blind, it can actually stun 2 types of champions, the Unstoppables and the Overloads. And this is something that you can actually use while in the super, so it gives you a way to like stun the Overloads even if you're in your super. Now for the artifact, the main mods you want are pretty much just the arc ones, as well as a couple here at the very end. But you want particle construction for your linear if you do have a linear, or if not, you could run something like heavy ordnance if you ended up going with a machine gun. The one that you definitely don't want to miss out on though is going to be the Forever Leading Blast. Every time that we stun a champion, it gives us immediately mad stacks of bolt charge so we can use it. This mod is just amazing, and I pretty much recommend it in any build for the GMs. Another good mod is going to be Dreadful Finisher. Whenever you finish a champion or some yellow bars, you basically are guaranteed to get some special ammo, just making sure you never run out of special. And besides those, you pretty much just need the arc ones, Flash Over, and Dielectric. Dielectric is the most important one though, because whenever you defeat any arc debuff targets, like any targets that are jolted, you're going to be getting some bolt charge, as well as if you buff it, you're going to be getting health and Orbs of Power. Basically just increasing your survivability and also how fast you get your super. Before getting to the GM, just make sure to boost this thing, and if you guys don't know how to boost it, you essentially just have to come to your Thumb of Want and just put something here. Even if you don't care about the weapon that you're going to be getting, just put something here and it will activate both of these mods. Lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're in on this build. For the helmet, you want Harmonic Siphon, so we can make some orbs with our special weapon, which is the main thing that we're going to be using when getting up close. And you want Hands-On as well as Dynamo. We're going to be very close to the enemies, so every time that we dodge next to them, we're going to get a bit of super energy. And every time that we get a kill with our Tempest Strike, we're also going to be getting super energy. So as we're just doing our gameplay loop next to some enemies, we're always going to be getting back some super energy. For the gauntlets, they're all going to be melee related. We have Heavy Handed, Focusing Strike, as well as Impact Induction. Basically, whenever you hit something with your power melee, you're going to make orbs. You're going to be getting some ability energy back, and also some grenade energy. All the Tempest Strike that we're spamming essentially is just feeding into our other abilities, as well as our super with the Heavy Handed mod. For the chest piece, you want to have a Concussive Dampener, that's always good to have, and also whatever your weekly threat is. It is Sora this week, but it might be different if you're watching this on a different week, so just make sure to check the strike first. And also, emergency reinforcements. We're not really going to be doing much with the armor charge in this build, so I decided to throw it into a little bit more survivability. Every time our shields are broken and we have some armor charge, they essentially just add a little bit extra damage resistance on top of it, making us tankier whenever we need it. For the boots, we're going to have Absolution, Orbs of Restoration, and Recuperation, so whenever we pick up orbs, we get a bunch of ability energy back, as well as heal some more health. And lastly, for our class item, we're going to have Orso Restoration. This is a big one, since we're going to be making Orso all over the place. Whenever we activate our class ability, we just pick them all up, activating all our mods, getting back health, as well as getting a bunch of class ability energy, grenade energy, melee energy, pretty much all kinds of energy. And besides that, we're also going to have Reaper, since we're going to be using the class ability a lot, might as well make more orbs with our weapon. And also Bombers, so we can again just get our grenade back faster, taking advantage of all that class ability spam. That's pretty much what we're doing here with the cloak, just things that help our class ability. And with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build, boys. Now you guys pretty much have everything that you need to know to get into the GM and start spamming some supers. Now the gameplay loop for this build is going to be pretty simple. If you have some big enemies that are far away, you can shoot them with the Outbreak, try to build up your super. But if there's no big enemies that you can really use it on, and there's only smaller enemies, you can get in between all of them and just start using your Tempest Strike. You get in there, Tempest Strike, and whenever there's any enemies around, you dodge, Tempest Strike again, and as soon as you get your dodge back, you dodge again, and then Tempest Strike again. That's pretty much literally all the build is. In between waiting for your dodge cooldown, after using your Tempest Strike, you can also get kills with your weapons to make a couple of extra orbs. But as soon as it's up, make sure you use it so you can activate your Tempest Strike again. You're going to be building the super very quickly, and so whenever some big enemies show up or some champions, you pop it and just make them disappear. It's a very simple but effective build, and so I hope you guys enjoy it. Anyways, thank you for stopping by, thank you for watching. Like always, there's going to be a dim link in the comments below, and also in the top of the description, it's going to be pinned. A couple of guys have asked, where's the dim link? It's always pinned at the top of the comments, every single time. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the build, hopefully you guys give it a try, and if you do, make sure you guys come back here and let me know what you guys thought about it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.